What if I told you that your cat has been running a set of rules this entire time? Specific, consistent, entirely non-negotiable rules. And that every single day, you have been breaking several of them without the faintest awareness that the rules even existed. Not rules about food or fresh water or keeping the litter box clean. Those are the obvious ones. The ones on every pet ownership checklist ever written. The ones you already know. The ones that are not why you are here. I am talking about the rules that live underneath all of that. The ones that govern how your cat experiences you as a social presence in her world. The ones that determine whether she reads you as safe or uncertain, trustworthy or unpredictable, the person she chose, or the person she is quietly, patiently reconsidering. Because here is the thing that the American pet industry has never had a financial incentive to tell you clearly. Your cat does not speak up when you break these rules. She does not meow once to flag the problem, does not give you a formal warning, does not sit down with you and explain what went wrong. She simply adjusts, pulls back slightly, becomes a little less available, a little more reserved in her approach, and you experience it as a mood or a phase, or just her being a cat, and you move on. And the distance between you widens, slowly, without any single moment you could ever identify as the turning point. Today, I'm going to give you the rules. 6 of them. Specific, behaviorally documented, grounded in feline social biology in a way that will make immediate sense once you hear them, and that you will recognize instantly in your daily life together. Some of them you are going to realize you have been breaking for years. Some of them are going to explain things your cat has been doing that never made sense before. Stay through all 6. Because the 6th rule, the one about where your cat chooses to sleep, and what that specific choice is actually communicating about the current state of your relationship, ties every other rule together into a single picture that is more honest than anything your cat will ever tell you while you are awake and watching. I told you at the start to pay attention to that one. By the time we get there, you will know exactly why. This is cat class. Here are the rules. Rule number 1. Do not stare at your cat. This is the rule that nearly every American cat owner breaks daily without any awareness of breaking it, because it runs directly and completely counter to one of the most deeply embedded social norms in human interaction. In human culture, eye contact means engagement, warmth, presence. We're taught from early childhood that looking someone in the eye is respectful, that it communicates, I am here, I see you, you matter to me. And so when we look at our cats with that open, warm, sustained gaze, we are doing exactly what our entire social training tells us is the right thing to do. We think we are sharing a moment. Your cat is reading a challenge. In feline communication, prolonged direct eye contact is not an expression of warmth. It is a threat display. In cat-to-cat interaction, a direct, sustained, unbroken stare is the specific visual signal that occurs immediately before a confrontation. The signal that says, I am watching you. I am not backing down. The situation between us is unresolved. This is not a learned cultural convention. It is wired into the species neurologically, inherited from the evolutionary environment where sustained eye contact from another animal meant one thing with very high reliability. Something is about to happen. A study published in the journal Animal Cognition found that cats consistently avoided proximity with individuals who made direct, sustained eye contact. and actively approached individuals who offered soft, intermittent, or blinking gaze. The cats in the study were not responding to the emotional intention behind the look, to whether the person looking at them felt warmly or neutrally toward them. They were responding to the specific visual input of the look itself, which their nervous system processes the same way it has always processed it, as a challenge signal that requires either escalation or strategic withdrawal. Every time you have gazed at your cat with loving, sustained attention, and she has looked away or quietly left the room, you were not being rejected. You were being told, in the clearest signal she has for this specific message, that you were doing something that reads as threatening in her language. And she was responding the way a sensible animal responds to an apparent challenge from a larger animal in a confined space, by removing herself without escalating the confrontation. She was being the reasonable one. The correct move is the slow blink, soft, brief eye contact. A slow, deliberate close and open of your eyes. Unhurried, relaxed, with no intensity behind it. A gaze that is present, but not pinning. Warm, but not fixed. This is the visual signal that, in feline communication, means I am at ease. I am not issuing a challenge. The space between us is completely safe. If she slow blinks back, she is responding in kind, extending to you the specific visual exchange that in her language communicates, I trust you, and I'm comfortable here. It is sometimes called the cat kiss. It takes 2 seconds. It communicates more genuine warmth than a sustained, loving stare ever can, because it communicates it in the language she actually speaks, rather than the one you were taught. Start doing this tonight. In every interaction where eye contact is possible, offer the slow blink instead of the sustained gaze. Watch what happens to how she responds to your presence in the room over the following days. And hold on to this rule as we move through the other 5, because I told you the 6th one ties back to everything that comes before it. The connection will be clear by the end. Rule number 2. Know when to stop petting her. You have been here. You are sitting on the couch. Your cat is beside you. She has been leaning into your hand for the past few minutes, and the whole thing feels warm and mutual and right. And then, apparently from nowhere, she bites your hand. Or she swipes. Or she simply stands and walks away with a quality of departure that carries something in it, even if you cannot name exactly what. And your interpretation, the interpretation almost every American cat owner lands on in that moment, is some version of, she just decided she was done. Which is technically true, but which entirely misses the more important information that was available in that interaction for the entire duration, written clearly in her body, in a communication sequence that escalated toward the bite specifically because none of the earlier signals in the sequence produced a response. Every cat has a neurological threshold for physical contact, a specific point at which the tactile stimulation that was registering as pleasant crosses into overstimulation, where the nerve receptors that were firing comfortably begin firing at a frequency that the nervous system processes as aversive rather than pleasant. This is not a personality quirk or an inconsistency. It is a documented physiological mechanism. The nerve endings in a cat's skin, under sustained or repetitive stimulation, undergo a shift from pleasure signaling to discomfort signaling that happens at the neurological level regardless of what is happening on the surface. What felt good 3 minutes ago genuinely feels bad now, not because anything about your touch changed, but because the threshold was crossed. She tells you before it crosses. She always tells you in a sequence that is specific and learnable if you know what you are looking at. A tale that begins slow, deliberate lateral movement along the floor or the couch surface, skin along the back or flanks that twitches or ripples under your hand, ears that rotate slightly back or flatten, a head that turns toward your hand with a watchful, assessing quality rather than an affectionate one, a new tension that enters the body that was entirely absent at the beginning of the session. These signals appear in order, each one a slightly louder version of the same message, and they escalate into the bite or the swipe, specifically because the earlier signals in the sequence were not acknowledged. The bite is not the first message, it is the last one, delivered after 4 or 5 earlier ones were missed. The rule requires one specific thing from you. Watch her while you pet her. Not the television, not your phone, her. Learn the specific sequence of pre-threshold signals her individual body produces, because every cat's sequence is slightly different in timing and expression, and the only way to learn hers is to look at her while you are touching her. And stop at the first signal, every single time, without exception. Not because she is done with closeness. She may reinitiate contact immediately, which is her way of saying, I wanted more, just not that amount without a pause. But because stopping at the first signal teaches her something that accumulates into one of the most important things a relationship with a cat can contain, the specific knowledge that your hands are safe, that they stop when she asks, that communicating with you produces results. Build that knowledge through repetition, and the biting stops. Not because she was corrected or punished out of it, but because the condition that produced it was removed. You listened. She stopped needing to escalate. Rule number 3. Do not rearrange or remove the things she has claimed. This rule requires setting aside the human understanding of what a home is and what objects in it mean, because your cat's relationship to your shared space is built on a completely different architecture than yours, and the difference matters enormously for this specific rule. Your cat does not experience your home as a floor plan of rooms with functional purposes. She experiences it as a territory, a 3-dimensional space she has spent significant time mapping, assessing, and marking through the deposition of her facial pheromones on the surfaces she has bunted, the objects she has rubbed against, the sleeping spots she has used repeatedly over months or years. These chemical markers are not decorative. They are the operational infrastructure of her territorial security. They are how her sensory system confirms, at every moment of every day, that she is in a known and certified safe space. The chemical map she has built in your home is the difference for her nervous system between living somewhere and living somewhere safe. When you move the blanket she has been sleeping on for 2 years to a different room, or wash the cat bed and return it scentless, or rearrange the furniture into a configuration she has never certified, you are not redecorating. You are, from the inside of her experience, erasing portions of the safety map she spent months building, without warning, without transition, without any explanation that her sensory system is capable of receiving. The space that was known is now partially unknown, and an unknown space in a cat's territorial world is not simply unfamiliar. It is actively requiring a threat reassessment that takes time, costs cortisol, and produces a sustained stress response while it is underway. Research examining common stress triggers in domestic cats found that environmental disruptions, including ones that appear minor from the human perspective, such as repositioning a sleeping area or laundering a familiar scented object, were among the most reliable producers of elevated cortisol in the study population. The cat's owners consistently attributed the behavioral changes they observed to other causes because the environmental change seemed too small to matter. For the cat's territorial nervous system, nothing about it was small. The rule is to respect the claims she has made. If she has chosen a specific corner, a particular blanket, a chair that has been hers for a year, that choice is not random, and it is not trivial. It is a deliberate territorial decision, backed by months of scent-marking investment. Honor it. If you genuinely need to move something, do it gradually, in small increments over several days, in steps small enough that her territorial map can update without the experience of sudden loss. The difference between a gradual change and an abrupt one is, for her nervous system, the difference between adaptation and disruption. One she can handle, the other she has no tools for. Rule number 4. Give her space when she is eating. This one generates the most pushback from American cat owners because it conflicts directly with the warmth impulse, the genuine, well-intentioned desire to be near your cat and to make shared moments out of ordinary ones. You want to be present with her. You stand nearby during her meal and talk to her softly because it feels affectionate. You reach down to pet her while she eats because she is right there and the gesture feels natural and loving. And while you are doing all of that, her nervous system is running something completely different. Sleep removes all of that. The cat who is genuinely, deeply asleep is not managing impressions, not making social calculations, not choosing behaviors based on what they communicate to any observer. She is simply in the place her nervous system decided was safest and most appropriate for the specific vulnerability of unconsciousness. And that decision, the sleeping location decision, is made by the parts of her nervous system that operate beneath social awareness. The parts that run on pure, accumulated assessment. The parts that know, without narrative or performance or social adjustment, exactly how safe each person and location in her environment actually is, based on the full weight of available evidence. Most Americans who own cats think of themselves as good cat owners. They feed their cats well. They keep the litter box reasonably clean. They provide veterinary care when it is obviously needed. They feel genuine affection for their cat and believe, accurately, that their cat feels genuine affection for them. And in the framework they were given, the framework that says cats are independent and self-sufficient and do not need much from you beyond logistics, they are doing everything right. The framework is incomplete. Not wrong, exactly, but missing the layer that these 6 rules live in, the layer that is not about logistics, but about relationship. About the specific, daily behavioral reality of what it means to be in relationship with a social animal who has chosen you specifically, who has built her sense of safety around the specific quality of your consistent presence, who has been continuously filling out that honest report card based on the accumulated evidence of every interaction you have had together. That layer is where the 6 rules live. And the distance between the incomplete framework and the complete one is precisely the distance between a cat who is fed and sheltered and the cat who is fully, emotionally, neurologically well in the relationship she has built with you. Between a cat who tolerates you and a cat who has decided you are the safest place in her world. Between a cat who sleeps across the room and a cat who is already on the pillow when you get there. Every American household with a cat contains the raw material for that second version of the relationship. Every single one. The cat is already there, The investment is already present. The assessment process that determines the sleeping location has been running since day one. What most households are missing is not the cat's willingness to be fully in the relationship. It is the owner's knowledge of what the relationship requires. You have that knowledge now. All 6 rules, grounded in the actual biology and social architecture of the animal you share your life with, available to apply starting today. Not perfectly. Perfection is not what the rules require. Consistently. With a genuine quality of attention that produces, over time, the honest behavioral result of a cat who has received enough evidence to conclude that the safety question has a reliable answer. The reliable answer she is looking for is you. Showing up in the way she needs you to show up. Slow blink instead of stare. Stop at the first tail sweep. Leave what she has claimed exactly where it is. Give her the meal in peace. Take 11 seconds at the door. And tonight, pay attention to where she chooses to sleep, because that choice is the most honest thing she will tell you today. And now you know exactly how to read it. Tomorrow, when you apply rule number 1 for the first time with genuine understanding, she will register it. Not dramatically, not with any obvious acknowledgement, but the nervous system that has been running the continuous assessment of you and the relationship will receive the new data point and incorporate it. The ledger will update. The running total will shift by exactly 1 slow blink in the direction of closer. That is how it works. 1 interaction at a time. 1 correct response at a time. 1 small daily choice that says, I know your language well enough now to try to speak it back to you. She has been speaking your language, adapting to your home, your schedule, your rhythms, your unpredictable human behavior, since the day she arrived. She has been learning you continuously and carefully for every day of the time you have shared. Every day a new observation, every night a revised assessment, every sleeping location a summary of where the evidence has led. Now you know the rules. Now you can learn her. Go find her. Notice where she is in the room right now. If she makes eye contact, offer the slow blink and wait for what comes back. Say her name in the tone of address rather than label. The tone that means, I am talking to you specifically. And tonight, before you fall asleep, pay attention to where she settles. Because that is the honest report. And starting today, you have everything you need to make it better. If these 6 rules change something about how you understand your daily life with your cat, give this video a like, subscribe to Cat Class, and share it with someone whose cat has been drifting in ways they couldn't explain. Drop a comment and tell me which of these 6 rules surprised you most, which one landed hardest, which one you are changing first thing tomorrow. Because your cat has been following these rules since the day she chose you. Every slow blink she offered that you did not know how to return. Every tail sweep you missed before the bite. Every meal she ate while quietly managing your presence beside her. Every arrival where she waited and you walked past. All of it the same message in the same language, asking the same question. Now you speak the language. Now you know what she was asking. Answer her.